Everybody, thank you for joining me for another video update. Today I just want to focus a little bit on the budget that we introduced this past Monday night, our 2013 municipal operating budget. Last night we introduced the budget, and what that means is that it's introduced on first reading. It requires 2 readings to be passed. The second reading and the public hearing portion is scheduled for July 8th here in Village Hall at our board meeting. So if you have any comments or questions or want to learn more about the budget, you can obviously email us ahead of time, or you can come to that public hearing on July 8th. Our 2013 operating budget is $32 million. This is about a 1.7% increase from last year. If we do pass the budget as introduced, this will be the 3rd year in a row that we've introduced one of the lowest tax increases in 15 years. So we talk about budget stabilization. I'm going to put a graphic up on the screen there so you can see what that looks like. There's a couple highlights that I do want to make sure to cover. Obviously, there's a whole lot of information about this budget. I can't cover all of it in a couple minutes. If you do want to learn more, please visit the website at southorange.org/budget, and you can learn a little bit more. You can also read the minutes from our budget workshop meetings, watch our board meeting from Monday night, or come to the public hearing on July 8th to learn a little bit more. In 2011, one of the ways that our budget was balanced was through the one-time sale of a piece of property of about $1.5 million. And although we cut $1 million out of appropriations in 2012's budget, last year's budget, we can't rely on one-time revenues to balance the budget. So what we're really looking to do is stabilize the budget with a consistent cut. So something that if there's something that's going to be cut, it's not 1 year. If there's a revenue source, it's not going to be a one-time revenue, but it's going to be an annual revenue that we can count on for years down the road. The largest increase that we're facing for the 2013 budget is the police fire retirement system, or the pension. We get a bill for that, which we have no control over, which is about a $183,000 increase over last year. There are other cost increases as well. The joint sewer assessment, which came in at about a $176,000 increase, and there were some other increases, some other uses. For example, our water utility surplus being used to fund our operating budget. That's something we want to get away from as well, to not have to count on a surplus in one line to help fund the other line. We're also, so we're weaning ourselves off of that, and we're also uncapitalizing some salaries that were in our capital budget. That means that there were salaries that were in our capital budget so that they were part of bond issues, meaning that we're paying interest rates on salaries. By taking those out of the capital budget and putting it into the operating budget, you'll see there's a slight impact from the year-to-year increase, because it's going in. It's a new amount of money that is in our operating budget, but we're saving money in the long run because we're not paying interest on salaries, which we shouldn't have been doing in the first place. And we did see some revenues go up. We saw from permits and fees and licenses, a lot of these due to construction, a lot of increased construction. We saw about $300,000 increase there. We also saw a little more than a $300,000 increase in the reinstatement of the pilot, or payment in lieu of taxes, for the Avenue apartments. And as the Gateway comes online, hopefully next year, and Third and Valley the year after, it will be phased in as apartments are rented out, that we'll see pilot increases and positive revenue sources for our budget from those projects as well. And those are great because those are not one-time budget increases. Those are yearly revenue sources. And so we will be able to count on those for our budget for decades in the future. There are a couple other important things to note about our budget this year. One is that we're saving over $100,000 over the course of the year by entering into a cooperative purchasing agreement for utilities, electric and natural gas. So we're saving a lot of money there. Obviously, the village, we have a very high utility bill because of all of our natural gas street lighting. So not only are we obviously working with PSE&G as a local government and them being our utility provider for our residents, but we're actually also a very large customer of PSE&G because we have such a large natural gas bill from our street lighting of our gas lamps. So saving a little bit of money there, entering into a cooperative agreement that was mostly set up through Essex County, where many municipalities and government agencies are purchasing together, we're able to get a better price on those, and we're saving over $100,000 this year for that. Trustee Levison has been very involved in working with the county in setting that up. Another area that's worth noting is past practices indicated basically borrowing money, issuing a bond, and taking out a loan before a project was being done. So, for example, we bonded for Village Hall around $4 or $5 million that we bonded for the renovations of Village Hall, but we did this several years ago. That means that we've been paying interest on those bonds even though we haven't used them yet. So what we're going to make sure to do is to not only get some better interest rates, which I'll talk about in a second, but only issue a bond, basically only take out money as a loan, money that we're paying interest on when we absolutely need to use it. So it's not sitting in an account for a couple of years accruing interest that we have to pay. So we're not going to be doing that anymore. We're also restructuring a lot of our debt, converting a lot of short-term notes to long-term notes, and locking in lower interest rates. We're also getting ourselves out of a loan program that was causing us a very high effective interest rate, because at the beginning of the loan program, there were many municipal governments that were part of it. Most of them have paid out. We're the only one left, which means that we're paying all of the operating costs of administering that loan program. So we're getting ourselves out of that, which will also save money. Over the life of these loans, of these bond issues, we're going to be saving millions of dollars because of this restructuring. And again, I have to thank our administrator, Mr. Lewis, and Trustee Howard Levison for being very deeply involved with that, really helping to make a long-term stabilized impact in stabilizing our budget. When we were able to do all of this and bring in this 1.7% increase, which the state has a tax levy cap of 2%, that does not include expenses such as pension obligations, because those are bills that we don't have any control over. So our effective increase under that 2% cap is actually closer to about 0.7%. The 1.7 is a gross amount, including items that are included in that cap and items that are outside of it. But we use that to measure the overall increase, because what's really important at the end of the day is the impact on homeowners. And so that's about a 1.7% increase. And again, I'll show you that graphic that shows how stabilized this is. And we were able to accomplish this stabilization without service cuts, without layoffs. This is very important for us to do. And not only that we're looking at the year-to-year tax increase, and that you're not going to see 4, 5, 6, 7% tax increases from the village anymore. That is a thing of the past. What we're looking at is stabilized increases, accounting for costs that are passed along to us in the 1.5% range. So you know what the increases are going to be. And as we find more ways to share services, as we restructure the way our government works, as we sell some of our services to other governments to bring in another revenue source, we're actually going to be able to take those 1 and 1.5 increases and bring them down even further. But you can be assured as a homeowner, as a taxpayer, that you're not going to see increases larger than that anymore. That is a thing of the past in South Orange. As we find better ways to use technology, as we do better at deferred maintenance, as we share services more, those 1.5% increases are going to come down. But in the meantime, again, you can be rest assured that we're at that stabilized number. We think this is a very fair, appropriate, reasonable budget that's not only looking at the year-to-year increase, the impact on your wallet next year, but also the long-term impact, making sure that we're paying off more than we're borrowing, making sure that we're doing deferred maintenance, making sure that we're taking care of our capital projects so that 5 or 10 years from now, there's not a spike in your taxes because we weren't taking care of things now. It's very important for us to be responsible, not just in the short term, but in the long term as well. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the budget, there's a lot more to it, obviously. Go to southorange.org, look at the page, the budget page. You can go to southorange.org/budget or southorange.org/open-budget to see our online budget tool that will visualize our budgets going back to 2008, so you can see the trends, you can see where the money's going. If you do have any questions about any of this, please don't hesitate to look up any of the budget workshop information, the videos from the board meetings, come to the public hearing on July 8th, or reach out to me at atorpey@southorange.org if you have any questions about the budget. If you do want to get involved and learn more, you can also join the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee, who we work with very closely, and we'll be designing ways to make our budget even more transparent next year. Last year we put a spreadsheet out. This year we have an online tool that visualizes 5 years of budget data, and next year we hope to take that to the next level and create a participatory budget that residents can give us their feedback on online, and we can use that to help prioritize the decisions that we make about the areas of our budget that we do have discretionary control over. So thank you for tuning in to this quick update about our budget. Again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're very excited to introduce this budget. And again, I have to thank Mr. Lewis, our administrator, for introducing such a reasonable, appropriate, and measured budget for this year, and trying to keep that impact on the homeowners low while making sure that we are planning for the future as well. So thank you again for tuning in. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.